What made you go to Crossroads? Like, what was that decision like?
It was my grandma's decision. So growing up South Central, Crossroads was like Bel Air prep.
Yeah.
So it was like I was really
Santa
like,
Monica, right?
Yeah. So I was really like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I would go to Santa Monica, small little artsy private school, come back to South Central. So it was like Fresh Prince of Bel Air, no Uncle Phil, no Bel Air. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you go back to the hood. So my grandmother, she just wanted me to have a better education because the neighborhood I was in, it was like you can any day go either way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was more like survival. And so she wanted me to just like be able to focus on school. So my AAU coach, he was the head of marketing at K-Swiss, and they sponsored like 4 high school teams. Crossroads was one. He saw the point guard, the kid was like 5'6". He was like, BD, man, gonna be about 5'8". At the tallest I can see him.
Yeah.
And so the Crossroads high school coach was from my neighborhood. And so like that's how I got the opportunity to go to Crossroads.
Do you feel like going to Crossroads, you getting to see this other side, did that mess with you at all? Because you had to come back to some type of reality. Like you'd go to this and see this, how kids live, the education, the bubble, that little bubble that people get to live in.
Yeah.
And then you had to go back to, like you said, an area where it could go either way each day. Did that mess with you, or did that inspire you to be like, man, I could do this for myself. I can maybe set up my family in a way like how these kids' parents are. Like, what did that do for you getting to see or be a part of that different life, I guess?
I think it was, I started to realize that the world was a bigger place. Right? So it was like I was learning as I was growing. So like everything that I was doing here or said here or how I interacted with people, sometimes I get in really big trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By saying the wrong shit
Yeah.
or like reacting the wrong way or even fighting. So it's like here you gotta fight, right? You fight before you talk it out, or you fight it your homies and then you talk it out. Here you gotta talk before you even get ready to fight. So you start to learn like, how can I take these tools, transfer it back, to my neighborhood, but then, you just kind of like don't fit in nowhere. It's like you grow up and you just say, man, let me learn what I gotta learn over here. Let me learn. I'm already learning what real life is. Like maybe there's opportunity for like me and my homeboys. So like I was just trying to be like a bridge, a connector as I was learning, and like try to put the homies on, or try and put my sister on, try to put people on, try to make connections, because who knew how long like this Disneyland adventure
was gonna last. Right.
Or if I was gonna jack it up, you know what I mean? Because it was just, they took a lot, they took a lot of chances on me, and it was a lot of things that they learned that they didn't know, that I didn't know. Because, it was like we were both sides was just kind of learning, and I never got home. What saved me is like I didn't get home till like 5 o'clock at night.
So you missed all the...
So I missed all the like interaction, everybody getting out of school. If there was a moment of any, shenanigans that could happen, I pretty much was getting out the car, going across the street to the basketball court, trying to hoop before the street lights came on.
Right.
And I'm in the house up at 5:30. Gotta leave, get to get to
Solid
Santa Monica.
routine.
Yeah, so I was already kind of like just locked in on that in my own little world.
I asked this just because of, I don't want to be vague and say the word artsy, but you are in that type of space, whether it's film, business, entrepreneurship. Do you feel like being at Crossroads made you kind of get outside of your bubble in terms of obviously what you've done on the court, but personality-wise, I see what everything you're into now, the entrepreneurship, the businesses, tech, art, film, all these different things that you've been able to navigate in. Do you feel like going to Crossroads and getting outside of, like you said, the normacy of your normal environment helped you kind of adjust like that?
Yeah, for sure. I always think I was, hella creative, because I say for us as hoopers, like imagine when you was a kid and you going out to the court and there's nobody to play with and you still out there for 5-6 hours. That's all imagination. That's all your creativity. That's all I want to be Magic. I want to be Isaiah, Nick Van Exel. I want to be Rod Strickland. You can be whoever you want. I think when I went to Crossroads, it was a school for arts and science. And so I did not take arts or science serious until now, right?
Yeah.
But just the opportunity to like take classes and do other things in that realm was kind of like therapeutic, right? Because it was an outlet, but at the same time, I always said like, damn, I should at least like learn how to play an instrument, learn how to dance, learn how to really, I should have been in theater class. Like I was hanging out at school because, I didn't get picked up till late, but.
You Dancing with the Stars too, right?
Well, I just did that.
Yeah, I saw you did that last
year. That's my
right?
first time trying to dance. Like I should have did that in high school. We had one of the best arts, programs. But, I think for me, it was more so like I went there to prove like I could exist. Once I started realizing like, okay, I belong here, then it was like, okay, my version of me belong here. I'm gonna learn from everybody. What you do? So the dance, Zoe Deschanel, she locked in her craft, and she younger. Kate Hudson, she's super locked in her craft. So I'm just like, what is she doing that I need? It's like they already there. How do I get there? And I'm like, I'm gonna do this for basketball. This is how I'm gonna bring, my world to this school. And it wasn't like a sports school, so you can imagine like the dynamic. Once I did become somebody, right, or an All-American, I made sure all the coaches who recruited me came on campus because, those kids, were never gonna get.
Yeah, never get those type of looks.
That opportunity. And I made sure they came and met me at my grandma's house in the hood.
Oh, so they got to see both sides.
So they get to see both sides. And that was like a big thing for me because I really wanted to tell my friends like, Jim Herrick over here, or Steve Fisher over here, Roy Williams at the house.
Yeah.
So it was live.
You had Roy Williams at the house?
Yeah.
Roy Williams came to the hood?
Yeah, Roy Williams came to my house, man, and I had broke my ankle right before like one of the biggest tournaments. And
how old were you?
Sophomore year.
Sophomore, okay, you were young.
And
that's before your growth spurt, right?
That's way before my growth spurt, and I was on Paul Pierce's team.
AAU program.
AAU program.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
I was the youngest dude and the smallest dude, but I was like, damn, dude, like I can get a look. This was coming out my freshman year at Crossroads. Wasn't nobody coming to Crossroads to look. And so I was like a week out of my cast, and I was like, man, I'm going to go play. And so our team was good, and then they put me in probably every 3 minutes at a time because he knew my foot was broke, or at the end of the game. And so fast forward, Roy Williams come to my house, and he was like, yeah, we got Paul, and, I heard you played on Paul AAU team. I was like, yeah. He was like, man, when I was recruiting Paul, like the coach's son, like he was like, the kid could play, but he was like, had like handicapped, like one leg was shorter than the other. You could tell he could play, but like, do you know what happened to that kid? I was like, yeah, that was me, fool.
No way.
Yeah, I was like, Coach, that was me. And he was like, no way. I was like, yeah, that was me. I had a broke ankle. And so he had remembered me from playing on Paul's team.
Wow.
And Roy Williams was a great dude.
How tall? Because you ended up being what, 6'2", 6'3"?
6'3", but I was 5'5", 130 pounds in 10th grade.
Wow.
Then I went 5'8", and then high school 5'10", you're a big guard.
Yeah. Damn.
Hit subscribe for more news, highlights, and analysis from the NBA on NBC.